No, you didn't. Yeah, we've done that exercise before.
Yeah, it's just a lot sometimes.
Yeah. So like now with mom, uh, when we go to yeah, so like mom, uh, what do I have an echo? When we go.
Oh, hang on, that might be me. Okay, do you hear it now?
Okay, we're good.
Yep,
So
sorry about that.
no, not an issue. So with mom, we have her pills all broke out, and then you'll give them to her, and so we'll go, okay, there's 5, and they'll be like, there's 5, and so she'll look at it and count them out, and gets the 5, gets the idea of 5, so she knows she's going to take them 5, and so that's kind of I'm not going to say it's a game, but it's a game. It's just an exercise making sure that she knows she's taking 5, and I know everybody knows it's 5,
Right.
and in a little cup, and, she counts them out a couple, 2, 3 times, whatever the exercise is to get them down, and so that's how that kind of plays together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, whatever can go. But yeah, if you could check with the pharmacy where all the meds go.
Okay.
And have them put them in a daily pack. There'll be 2 or 3 per day, and they'll even be labeled, and they come out of a roll, a spinner, like a box, like it was not toilet paper, but it'd be like it was toilet paper. And here's the morning, the afternoon, the evening, and each day is labeled. They may do it different places, but that will save you headache.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you counted right, making sure the doses were there, making sure that you've given that control to those people that do that,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes the most sense.
Right. Okay.
Especially when you're dealing potentially with 2,
Mm-hmm.
with 2 people, then mom and dad, then absolutely I'd look to do that.
Okay.
To do that. So cool. Well, may have some more people joining us, may not, we don't know, but we're going to get started. We're going to work on our format here, I thought we would talk about onset, and then the time that it took, and the care given, what kind of care, and the routine of the cares. We're going to talk about lessons learned. What have we learned to apply going forward to family and ourselves? We're going to look at nutrition. So what nutrition was happening before and or during the care time, if we know. And then we're going to talk about the protocol for ourselves before and after a little bit, and what we're doing for ourselves. And we're going to look at talking about the whole idea that is intervention done soon enough? Is our level low enough to be able to really prevent it? I mean, once you start getting personal memory loss, or keys, or sentences, and those are the things I went through and have gone through, brain fog. Would it make sense to have parameters lowered so that sooner? Because these are all progressive, slow burning things. We just don't wake up with bumps.
Mm-hmm.
It's a progression, and there's the standard American care is medication, not prevention. And so intervention earlier, whether it's stress or whether it's diet or whatever it is, a lot of it's diet. If we can do those things in advance, lowering that threshold, I think that's a conversation just for things in the future. Hi, Steve. I hope you're having a good night. Pleasure having you out here. So that's kind of going to be the format we're going to go through. How does that sound?
That works for me.
Perfect. Now we may have Andrina, we have Andrea, we may have Megan, we may have Denise, we have some other people that will show up on stage, but there's us. And so welcome everybody that's coming on board. They'll be seeing this on the live. If you're seeing this on live, check live. If not, if you see it later, like a couple hundred people that are seeing it elsewhere at other times, because we are on at least 3 platforms right now live. We haven't gotten to the 4th one yet because they've changed the algorithms and stuff, and you know who that is. But the idea is that we want to share. If you have questions, write them in the chat, and that kind of thing. So here's Cheryl, and there's Jennifer, and I happen to be George, and someone else comes on board. We'll get going. And Cheryl has decorated the house with festive gourds, pumpkins, leaves, spiders.
Nice.
Spiders everywhere. And the house smells like someone exploded a pumpkin pie with cinnamon, which is really not nice because I really love the holiday pies. Of course, a year ago, that's was part of my problem. But I love cinnamon. I love cinnamon spice. I love pumpkin pie. And I mean to tell you, her pecan pies are marketable. She actually makes them and ships them by post or FedEx or whoever.
No, just the regular post.
Yeah, she ships pie.
Priority.
I'm telling you, Jennifer, they are the best.
To my granddaughters in Florida.
Okay.
What I do, I make the pies, let them cool, then I wrap them good and I freeze them. So they're frozen when I put them in the mail. But one year, my one granddaughter, I transposed 1 digit on her house number.
Mm-hmm.
I was tracking this thing. It went around the world like 3 times.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it really
until
does.
I got it back.
Oh, no.
And I unwrapped it just to see what kind of shape it was in. It was in perfect shape. Of course, I threw it in the garbage and I made her another one and sent it. But yeah.
I cried because I was looking at a good pie going to this.
I think I got it back a month later.
So the joy of life is in the living, and the joy of life is in the sharing. And so what's one of the things we're going to do tonight is do some sharing. So we're going to be talking about metabolic health as relates to Alzheimer's, and it relates to just really Alzheimer's. I guess, guys, that's really the thing, because in this case, we have parents, we have grandparents, we have a sibling, in relationship of time and space. So we're going to talk about, is Alzheimer's, is it inevitable? And the punchline is no, it is not inevitable. You can eat your way into it, whether you have the gene or not. Is it preventable? So yes, it is. If it's not inevitable, yes, it can be preventable. But again, you can eat your way into it. You can stress your way into it. So it's hormones. Then, like Ramon. Anyway, so it's hormonal. And because of eating your way into it. It is also reversible, and it is improvable. So if we have someone that is suffering from Alzheimer's, the condition can be improvable. The life can be elongated with good control. But what we want to talk about here is how the care is, how the love is, and that there's hope, because there's a propensity in America for the onslaught, the onset, to be younger and younger and younger as our food becomes more processed, more hyperpalatable, more bioengineered, which is the fancy way of GMO, but nobody wants to say GMO, so they say bioengineered, which gives them more latitude with not having to discuss what the ingredients are. So we're going to talk. We'll start with looking at today we're starting looking at, the brain is really a function of, it's one of the largest organs, it's one of the most energy burning organs. So metabolism, it burns all the time. It constantly needs energy. If we have too much sugar, if we have insulin resistance, in other words, the cells won't take the glucose in, they become deprived. It doesn't matter if there's how much ketones you could produce, it can't produce it because it's a two-system power system. When your glucose is going and glucose is high, insulin's high, you can't burn ketones because ketones come into play when it's fat burning, and when insulin's low, then the fat can go. So that's kind of a thing that we want to make sure people know. So we're going to start talking about the whole process, and we're going to start talking with these two here. And these two are, I'm going to turn it over to this young decorating lady. Cheryl, what can you tell us about the kids?
Okay, I am an identical twin. This was me and my sister at 5 years old. We're mirror twins, which sometimes usually mirror twins. One's right-handed, one's left-handed. Well, my sister started out left-handed, but those days, lefties were kind of a no-no, and they usually made you start using your right. So she eventually was right-handed. But and a lot of times the organs in mirror twins, which I wouldn't know that, but they're on opposite sides. Identical twins, they have the same whorl in their hair. Well, I don't know. We were identical twins, but we were mirror twins. And, you can take that one off. That's 8th grade. Chunky monkeys. And this is me and my sister. I'm in the white and she's in the black. It was at it was a wedding. It wasn't her son's wedding though. Anyway, that was at a wedding. You notice I'm usually on the right, she's on the left. And that's just something that we normally went to the side we felt comfortable in when we had pictures taken. And of course, then she's left, so I'm right, mirror. Now, most in all of our pictures, it's like that. Okay, this picture, she was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's when she was 54. She died when she was 61. The biggest shock in my life and her family's life when she was diagnosed. She was diagnosed at Mayo, and usually the doctor said it's dementia with the probability of Alzheimer's. And the reason they say that, they can't really say it is true Alzheimer's until death. And if the brain is, they take the brain and diagnose it. And her brain did go to Harvard. We wanted to know, since she was so young when she got it, and it was true Alzheimer's, a lot of dark matter, gray matter, and plaques and tangles, atrophied. In twins, we felt the same things. We would finish each other's sentences sometimes. And even when her disease and she got really bad, if she was struggling to say something, I knew what she was going to say. So I'd step in and so she didn't struggle and get embarrassed. I would step in and would kind of finish her sentence. People would see her out and she'd tell them she has Alzheimer's. She would tell them. She did not know when she was diagnosed, though, that it was a killer disease, and I did. On the way home from Mayo, I was sitting there crying in the car, and she grabbed my hand and she said, "It's okay. At least I'm not dying." And I thought, oh my God, you don't know. I tried not to be upset when, the farther the disease progressed with her, because if I get upset, then she would get upset. She and I mean, her daughter understood it. Her daughter was, did I say 19 when she was diagnosed?
Maybe 16.
Yes, 17, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, I don't know. She basically had to be the caregiver for her mom, and at the time of her life when her mom should have been taking care of her. She was very good with her mom. You have to understand the disease, because if you don't, they get very frustrated and you can't tell them what to do. If they don't want to do something, just humor them and just, let them do what they want, because it upsets them more if you try and force them to do something, because they don't understand. And it was a long 4 years, and she was in a nursing home. It just was too hard to take care of her. And I can say her husband took very good care of her. He would even put her makeup on to even just go to Walmart, because he knew she wanted to look good, and that was important to her. He'd even do her hair. One funny thing, one day, her daughter told me, she came home from school and she says, "Dad, Mom's eyebrows are red. Did you use a red lip pencil?" He's colorblind, and he did. So that was kind of a funny thing. But yeah, but the last year of her life, she spent in a nursing home, and she really declined. Through her life, though, she had a good diet. She was a wonderful cook. It reached the point where she couldn't cook anymore, but her husband was a very good cook too. So she was fed well. He fixed her good meals and everything, just like, he was used to cooking. And, but she passed at 61. And I knew the day she was going to pass. That's how close we were. I just knew it. And I lost half of my whole.
When you look back, what do you think was what did you know would be the onset? What were any clues or hints or something that something was not right, going wrong with her?
Well, she worked for the school district as secretary, and she loved her job, but she would call me and she'd say, "These kids are driving me nuts. They're just driving me nuts." And this one lady wouldn't leave her alone, she said. And then the principal, and I knew, because she loved her job, and she'd just be crying every night. She'd call me every night and she'd be so upset and crying. Her family started noticing things when they were building a house, and they built like 4 houses before this. And she was always a general contractor. She planned when everything had to be ordered, she'd order it, get that done, but she was forgetting if she ordered things. And her family noticed it before I did, because, when you're with them every day, you notice more things, little things. And so the principal at the school said, called her husband, and he said, "I think you better have Sharon checked out. There's something wrong." He said she loved those kids, and now she's very short with them. She's not as patient. And he said she used to be so good with those kids, and she loved them. He said there's just something not right. Don took her to the doctor, and at first they diagnosed her with depression. And they put her on meds for that, and that wasn't working. And finally, Don said to the doctor, I think we should go to Mayo. What do you think? He said, I think that's a good idea. And that's where she went through all these tests for 2 solid weeks. They just stayed up there. And then the 3rd week, he asked me if I'd go with him. And when he told me that night, he said, they're looking at dementia. And I just freaked out. I thought, no way. It was. So.
Yeah, a lot of times with some of those medications actually enhance issues, antidepressants, and then actually enhance the issues that are related to blood, sugar, cortisol, built-ups of plaques, and those types of things. So a lot of the side effects. So one thing we just take a second here in listening and looking at is understand if any medication that anyone that you love, including yourself, and then medications that you're on, we encourage you to go to pdr.net. Go to what's there you are. You get out of the frame there, you cheater.
Sit back.
Is to look up any prescriptions that you or anybody that you love. Look them up in the pdr.net. Look them up in the pdr.net. And when you look at those up, now, first off, that's the prescriber's digital reference. That's the gold standard. Now, if you're in Canada, look it up in Health Canada. But you can look up any medication. It'll tell you what the names are, give you kind of the formulation and that kind of stuff. But then at the bottom, if there's 4 categories, one is called a box warning. When you see a box warning, I tell you to think in terms of black box warning, because it literally can put you in the black box. So I encourage you to look up any medication that you're ever given or any of your loved ones are given. Don't just nonchalantly go la-di-da, okay, fine, thanks, doc, I'll take it. Take it and then look it up in the pdr.net, and look up any things that it could cause, from pancreatic to colon C's to bleeding this and blowing that, and all kinds of things that could happen, because those are possible. They all are. And you'll see that a lot of them can hasten someone's demise in terms of other organs. And so, especially if there are statins, metformins, lisinoprils, other kinds of some of the new exotics that they're coming up with, just because they've been approved. Light sockets are approved too. It doesn't mean you can put your finger in it. The light socket doesn't come with a warning, do not put your finger in it. I mean, I've read lawnmowers that say do not put on roof. Snowblowers don't put on roof because people have done it. So I mean, I'm just talking. I'm George Carlin here in a minute. Okay, think about words, look them up, because you need to know. Don't just blindly accept. One of the things that we want to try to help work with these events, with our live calls, is to help you get some control, help people gain some control, not give away control. Because the sooner you can take control and be more knowledgeable about, well, let's say this, Jennifer, who cares more about your health than Jennifer?
Nobody.
Right, exactly. See, Cheryl?
Nobody.
Not me? Okay,
Well,
Cheryl. Okay, fine. But I'll tell you, she cares more about my health than I do.
Well, because I pay more attention to mine than he does.
Yeah.
Or he ignores his.
I'm here. So
You're lucky.
okay, anyway. But the idea is that take control, take responsibility, take accountability, take it back, because the people that are giving you the meds, the people that are prescribing you the meds, are spending maybe 7 minutes with you, 11, because we now live in a medical reimbursement system. It's a reimbursement system for medication. They get paid more per minute by medicating you than they do by giving you dietary advice, lifestyle advice. The clinic makes more because of the prescription. And so think about it this way. We live in the sad mad. We live in the standard American diet, which has the standard American diseases that lead to the modern American medicine, the standard American medicine, medications. So that's the formula. That's our formula. And when we get to where our minds are literally a terrible thing to waste and have wasted for us. And so therein lies that particular stand. So, right. So there was some stress in 7 years, great care given. There was that home care. Then when was not able to 24 hours, 24/7, that's when we went into memory care. Then, okay. Meals are good. Nutrition was good. She was a good cook. And the husband was a good cook. And then the facility, they kept her. I'd really like to know what they're feeding people in the facilities nowadays, though. I'd really like to know if that's a high carbohydrate meals. Are they standard meals of the carbohydrate style in the facilities?
Mm-hmm. I would see they'd have a meat and maybe potato, vegetable, dessert. They'd have, like mid-afternoon, they would have juice and cookies. By the way, my sister, one funny thing, she was walking around to all, but she'd eat her cookies at her table, and then she'd walk around to all the other tables and grab a cookie.
Gotta love it.
She got very heavy too.
Yeah. Okay. And so we've got that format. So then, Jennifer, let's talk about let's go over here and let's see, because I've kind of bounced this hard on the whole thing about insulin resistance and that whole thing. So insulin resistance, guys, is what we're talking about in terms of nutrition. Food gets us into this mess, food gets us out. And when the cells are not sensitive to insulin, there's a buildup of it. And one of the things that's happens is called type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is a process, and it's there long before the doc says you have it. By the time you get diagnosed, you've already been out of control for 15 years. That same path, once you're there, you're much closer, like 80% closer to becoming Alzheimer, dementia, cardiovascular, and the C's, and fatty liver, and weight problems, obesity, you name it, inflammation, PCOS, ED, sarcopenia, fatty liver, obesity, all these things relate to a hormone, and hormones out of whack. Insulin is a growth hormone. That's why you can't unsee it, people. It also then has a war called cortisol, and cortisol is a fight or flight hormone. And that's part of the liver, and that's where ketones would come from. That's where cholesterol comes. I mean, it's all kind of becomes a big mess. It really does. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But our brains runs on glucose, and it needs insulin to unlock it. Okay, Alzheimer causes neurons to become insulin resistant. In other words, they won't listen to insulin trying to get the glucose out of the blood system. And so now you're building up excess sugar. 81% of Alzheimer patients had type 2 or some kind of impaired fasting blood glucose. Now, guys, I should be dead. You guys both know this because my fasting blood glucose was 834, which is clinically emergency care needed. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the metabolic syndrome is 23% more at risk having type 2 diabetes. So that's really kind of one thing we want to make sure you guys understand, that balancing our blood sugar, stopping insulin spikes, and eating fiber and fasting, controlling our window eating. And by fasting, guys, I'm not trying to get you to be some kind of a monk somewhere. Okay, all I'm trying to do is to get you to stop snacking. Stop drinking your calories. Stop snacking. That's one of the fastest things you can do in your favor. That's one of the fastest things you can do in your favor. So, Jennifer, talk to us about this young lady.
This young lady is my grandmother, Helen. Little 5-foot bundle of love who loved to bake and loved to make her Mexican wedding cakes. You were saying at the beginning of the call that you wanted to know if I saw any signs of progression. Well, I was a teenager at the time. I was probably more preteen, around 13, 14 years old. One of the signs I would say that I always saw and what I always knew of my grandmother was that she suffered from debilitating migraines. Other than that, I never noticed any skin tags, which would be something that I probably would have noticed. Health-wise, there was a lot of processed foods, even though she did like to bake and she did like to do family dinners. Snacking was always a thing. Taking the afternoon nap after you had lunch was very, very every day, never missed a beat. Have lunch between 12:30, maybe 12:45, and then nap was at 1. It was like clockwork. My grandmother, when we found out she had Alzheimer's, she was a wanderer. She'd pack her little grocery paper bag and put random items in it and go because she had somewhere she needed to be. Throughout the wandering phase, my grandmother had fallen and broken her hip. And unfortunately, her right to make decisions of where she would live next was taken from her. My grandfather was older and was not able to provide enough of a safe environment, we'll say, to keep her kind of in one spot because she did wander. So she was moved to a nursing facility, and she also progressed into the stage of she thought my uncle was a terrorist, so she was trying to push him out the window, easily agitated. She loved to talk about when she was a child. So as she's talking to me as I'm a teenager, she's telling me about, well, so-and-so and so-and-so, and we went here and we went there. And I said, I don't know what we're talking about, Grandma. And she would call me by my mother's name. So to her, I was her child. So it was, Karen, don't you remember? And of course, I had no idea what she was talking about. But I do recall the consistent migraines throughout the progression and just how debilitating it was for her. The specific facility and the side of the facility she was in, obviously she couldn't go anywhere. The doors were locked and she was in a wheelchair because of the broken hip, and they didn't have carpeted floors. So when my grandma would have the migraines, she would sit and rock herself, trying to make it go away. Not a whole lot of talking towards the end that I noticed. But it's just a nasty, nasty disease that, I know now that could have been preventable. And, being a caregiver for my parents at this point, my mother has, she's 79 and has mild cognitive decline, which is more advanced for somebody of her age. My father is on 2 Alzheimer's medications prescribed by his primary physician. And because the short term seems to be, it gets confusing, it gets aggravating, he gets very frustrated, withdraws. And as I'm noticing this process as I'm here, the depression is there for both of them, the social isolation, the not wanting to call their friends. They're pretty much just with each other. Of course, I'm here, but I let them have as much of their own business as they want. And I'm the backup person with the medications. I cook them dinner. I try to have it so it's as much of a normal life. I do get a little bit of respite. My brother comes with my sister-in-law 1 day a week on the weekends, and they help out. And then if I have to leave for a week or two to go and handle some other business, then they will come and stay. But I'm finding that, everybody has a difference of opinion when it comes to how we all feel that the parents should be taken care of. So I've had to move to asking medical professionals their opinions. And at the end of the day, my most important desire for my parents is for them to be safe. I don't want anybody to take the wrong medication, take too many. It's all about safety for me, and trying to, with the meals that I provide, I try to educate every time, let's have our fiber first. How about a salad? Then we'll go on to some fats and proteins, and we'll put carbs at the end. Well, when you're trying to transform somebody that is very much in the cycle of the processed foods, the snacks, the chips, the juices, it's a very slow process. But mom is trying the best she can on the tea that we drink. We have not introduced the fiber because she's a little nervous because she's got some gastro issues. And dad says, no, thanks. He likes his pie. He likes his ice cream. He likes his stuff.
I do too.
I try to sell him on, you can still have those things. We just have them at the end, maybe take out the snack part. And he's like, nah, I got this. So that's kind of what's going on at this end of the woods.
Okay. Cool. The question I have is when you're looking at giving that the care, are you there at two different? Are they at two different levels of care?
Yes. My mother is legally blind and broke her femur twice over the last year, or absolutely almost 2 years, and requires a little bit more care because one, she can't see, multiple eye drops a day. Obviously, you have to know the medication you're giving her. And I have noticed with the use of the tea that her headaches aren't as frequent. She's more cognitively there. True, there's still it takes her a minute to recall. It's like she knows all the information, but it just takes a little bit longer than a normal pause in a conversation.
What do you think was where would you say the onset? When did you notice the onset for your mom?
I would say about 3 years ago when I came to visit, because I moved in about 2 years ago, and she was repeating a lot, or she would go back and reminisce, or she would stop mid-sentence and had to try to recall or catch up what she was thinking about that she wanted to share. That became much more progressed after about a year of me being here. And then with dad, the short-term stuff is really not there. even from a task of reading a piece of paper, this is the direction, this is what you need to do. And then if he walks away from the paper and I ask the question, what is the step? He'll kind of freeze and look at me for a minute. And I said, do you want to go back and look at the paper? And he'll go back, but you can tell that there's some agitation because he wants to know the right answer, but he doesn't know. With him, it was very noticeable when I visited about 3 years ago. Even in talking on the phone, when I would call them every week, it was very obvious because we would loop in a conversation about the same thing. And I'd change the subject, we'd talk about something else, and then they'd bring it up like it was a new conversation.
Have you sought like help assistance with like Meals on Wheels or programs like that at all? Have you looked into that to help take some of the load off of your time?
For me, I've actually narrowed down my food food prep time. I used to make sure breakfast was ready, lunch was done, and dinner. I found that they were yes, they liked being served, kind of like, a restaurant. But I also noticed that they had more flexibility and independence when it came to them preparing their breakfast or their lunch. It gave them a sense of purpose instead of just sitting back waiting to be served. I do dinners. We sometimes do carry out. But since I'm here, that's like the one meal that I do, and they handle the others, which I see my dad definitely enjoys getting the lunch ready, doing his breakfast. It's kind of like their time and I'm not in their way. So it kind of ebbs and flows depending on, how the week's been, how the day's going. That those options have been in the back of my mind. If it comes down to, I just need a lot more time than that, then I would most definitely probably look into those different types of food delivery.
I can remember with Mom that we debated about even having a gas shut off at 15 minutes because she has gas stove. She wouldn't go any other way. But I've been in hotels where you get to crank it and you get 15 minutes of gas, then it shuts off, kind of like a sauna. Smoke detectors are absolutely a must. Cameras everywhere, entrances and exits for sure, hallways, kitchen, smoke detector. Did I say smoke detector? Yeah, smoke detector. Did I say smoke detector? Yes, smoke detector. Yeah, they're important because I don't know if you've ever smelt burnt hard-boiled eggs. If water evaporates in the pan, and then they explode.
Oh my!
And you'll spend a month cleaning it off the ceilings. And it's that heavy sulfur. So that's one thing you want. Smoke detectors and like rice. Rice burns really, really well. That the forget things. So those are some big deals, especially in the kitchen for safety. I'm not so much worried about knives as I was about fire. A good fire extinguisher in the house, make sure you have that. And smoke detectors. I'm going to keep saying smoke detectors because they're important. A lot, very important.
But now
I guess the best way,
she doesn't get up and cook or anything, so she's bedridden. She's pretty much in the bed all the time. She'll try to make an escape once in a while, but isn't very unsuccessful anymore. But mom is my mom. I should go to mom. This is my mom. Nisa is 96 now. She's mother of the 10 of us, and this is like 10 years ago. And she was inducted to one of the 3 Hall of Fames that she was inducted in to. And the 10 of us, we're blessed. All 10 of us are alive. We live in 8 different states, and we're a close group of fans. And we've been the Big 10, with Mom being the matriarch now for 35 years. Dad died 35 years ago, and I've been the patriarch. But Mom, her mental went down kind of slow. I remember years ago, when she still had a self-contained camper, and a big one. She drove it all the way out to Washington, stayed out from Illinois out there for a wedding. And it was for a wedding she went out for. And Mom was famous for making lasagna. Yeah, it was no cook lasagna. I mean, she did a lasagna and took it up to Alaska to a wedding in her suitcase. And dry ingredients, and then you just put it together and then just let them soak and put it in the oven. But Mom had been gone about 2 weeks, Jennifer, and I remember calling her. And Mom, to have her cell phone on was hard because she didn't want it to cost money. She thought if she turned it on, it costs money. Mm. And she says, I don't have anybody to talk to. And I says, no, you have us. We want to talk to you. But I called her and I said, Mom, where are you? And she said the 3 words you don't want to hear. She goes, I don't know. Mm. I go, what do you mean you don't know? Where are you? She says, well, I'm at a garage sale. Do you know how many garage sales there are between the state of Illinois and the state of Washington? She came back and the camper looked like it was a Goodwill. It was packed. She had made a storage garage out of anyway. But that's kind of how Mom was. Mom was at age 51 went back to college. At 56, had her doctorate and had a 4-year RN. She was the head nurse for the National Special Olympics in New Orleans when Schwarzenegger and Shriver Kennedy were in charge. She won the Jefferson Award. We were Scout Family of the Year. She's all about kids, all about kids, all about kids. She'd still be having babies if she could. But, so she gets to live in her own home. We wouldn't have it any other way. We have a niece that's our boots on the ground 24/7, paid care. We have respite twice a week paid for her. We also have hospice comes in twice a week. It wasn't that long ago when we thought she was going to be gone. Mm-hmm. We really did. She had an episode, was in the hospital, came home, and now we're all panic out. We've got hospices coming in every day. The neurons are coming in every 3 days a week, and we got people there all the time. Now it's kind of like a visit. It's kind of like the resilience of Mom. When she was 80, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and they looked at that and they go like, we don't normally do this kind of treatment with somebody your age. But the first thing on her medical records is healthy 80-year-old. No medication except for maybe blood pressure. That was it. And so she went through that. I took her to the chemo. My sister picked her up. All those kinds of events, went through that. Being the oldest of the patriarch, that was part of what we do. And one of the baby sisters lives in another town, and to pick her up and take her there. So we had that kind of constant exchange. We're blessed, Jennifer, that we have that kind of unity for care. Mm-hmm. And we're blessed that we have ourselves and each other, and still Mom. Cheryl is the oldest of the family on every side. And so I get how blessed I am from that standpoint. But I know that if I would have known, just like Jennifer said, if I would have known about this protocol mm-hmm. that literally saved my life 10 years ago, we'd have a whole nother story. And with your sister too. Because stress is a mean thing too. So even if you have a good diet, if you have issues with rest and cortisol, your hormones and other things are out of whack. And that's kind of the thing that we want to look at and talk to about, because one of the things we want to do is we want to help thwart off you guys that are watching this from going down the path that our parents have gone down, our grandparents have gone down, and that we have gone down from a health standpoint. Because food got us into this mess, food will get us out. No one told me that the things were going on and that were screaming were related to what I found out later, that I should have died. And now that I know, I'm on a mission to try to help not let anybody else experience even close to what I've gone through. So Cheryl, tell people about the protocol, would you? Why are you even on the protocol?
Well, I'm on it. Basically, I'm healthy. The only med I'm on is Synthroid for my thyroid. But I want to stay healthy and I want to feel healthier. I had a hysterectomy in 2016. Ever since then, I've had to have a PAPS test every 6 months because it was just a preventative hysterectomy. I didn't have cancer or anything. Didn't have anything going on, but it was preventative. And so ever since 2016, I thought, oh, great, I won't have to have any more. Well, the first PAPS after the hysterectomy just still wasn't exactly right. So I've had every 6 months since 2016, I've had a PAPS test. The last one I had was probably a month and a half ago. And the doctor called me and he said, or the nurse called me and she said, everything's great. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. So I do think that had a lot to do with the protocol. I sleep much better. I was one that would wake up like 3 times a night and then I couldn't go back to sleep. I still do. If I have something weighing on my mind, I still will wake up. But other times I sleep very well. I don't wake up in the middle of the night. I get up at 5:15 every morning. I usually sleep through until then. Once in a while, I'd wake up, but I sleep much better than I did. And I feel healthier. I've always been energetic. I don't know if I'm more energetic. I don't know. I feel like the Energizer Bunny sometimes. I just don't stop. Let's put it that way. But the older I get, the more tired I get. I mean, when I'm ready to go to bed, I'm going to bed, you know. So, but yeah, I feel better on it. My bowel movements are more regular, which they never used to be. And I just feel better. So, and I want to keep my brain healthy. That is the main reason I'm on it. So, and keep my body healthy as long as I can.
Yeah. Well, you noticed something today with your pants today.
My pants.
Yeah.
No.
Your leg. You said
No, I just feel like I don't have like the inflammation I had in my legs. Sometimes I felt like, although I never changed sizes, I would starting to feel like before I started on this, like some of the pant legs felt tighter or like around my calves and stuff. And I don't have that feeling anymore, and I do sit a lot at work, which I hate, but when I get home, I don't sit much, do I?
No, you don't.
Because, but no, yesterday I was busy all day. Today I got up and finally did my hair today. I didn't do it yesterday, or makeup.
It was scary like this.
Yeah, right. So today I got up and did hair and makeup, and then I started getting busy around here, and I got all my stuff brought up from the basement for Halloween and fall. And so, yeah, I've been busy all day. So,
Jennifer, tell people what does the protocol consist of? How do we follow the protocol?
Well, this lovely little packet is our tea. And for me, the way I use it is I wake up in the morning and I mix a tea. I sip on my tea up until about lunchtime. Some days, because I'm intermittent fasting. So tonight, for example, I stopped eating around 7. So if I go until 7 tomorrow morning, that's 12 hours. If I make it to lunch, that's 16. If I want a lunch, then I make sure to have a fiber before I eat. And then I eat in my food order of fiber, fats, proteins, and carbs. A lot of times I don't do carbs. I tend to be more carby at night. Not that I wasn't all about carbs, because I am.
I am too.
I love me a good mac and cheese. Okay. If I could just have that minus everything else, I would do it. But it's not benefiting me. And I find that when I go and do the opposite of the order I just listed, that I feel a weight. I feel sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that feeling anymore. That's not a good feeling.
Mm-mm.
After, if I had lunch, then I'd go back and have another tea to curb my food noise. I found when I started this, George, believe it or not, that when I started this, I had an awful lot of noise in my head. And I didn't know I had that much noise about you're hungry, you want to eat, you want a pretzel, you want a snack, you want a donut. I don't get that while drinking my tea.
I don't either.
I look at it and I'm like, it's a donut, and I keep moving on.
Right.
Now,
No,
for me,
ahead.
I tend to do 2 fibers a day.
Okay.
And like you said, I'm on a regular bowel schedule these days.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that was the thing. Didn't know I wasn't regular.
Yeah.
I thought it was my regular. I didn't know what regular was. Super simple though. I can take my packets on the go. I've taken them on road trips. I take them in the car with me. I've got some in the glove box. I've got some in my purse. I've got some in my carry bags, because you never know when you need a tea or you need a fiber because you want to stop and have a meal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing that I noticed, that as I think back over the course of my life, George, is I had kidney stones removed in my 20s. I was told in my late 20s that I had high cholesterol. I did the multiple meals a day, every 2-hour eating, working out 4 to 6 hours a day. Yeah, this has literally changed my life. No more cholesterol. No skin tags, no tinnitus, no brain fog. I'm in menopause, so my menopausal belly's gone. The easiest thing, because I used to do the yo-yo diet, I did the every 2-hour eating, I did the workouts, I tried the fancy little drinks that are full of sugar that I thought were helping. And then when you stop those things, I blew up like a balloon. And I could never understand. I did all the right things. I don't understand. Well, I didn't know about the food order. I didn't know about the protocol. I didn't know that all these symptoms I was having was all based off of insulin resistance. So I've been insulin resistant for most of my life. And it hasn't been until this year that I fully understood what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Well, I find I never was a breakfast eater in my adult years. It wasn't really something that was my favorite meal of the day. But sometimes I'd even skip lunch, which was good for me. But now I fast until like 12:30.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I take a bowl of Greek yogurt, it's not sweetened, and some blueberries on top of that, and walnuts. And that's my lunch, and it fills me up. And, when I get home from work, I'm not starving. But I find if I eat, sometimes we would order lunch at the shop or breakfast. If I do that to my body, I'm ready to go to sleep an hour later. It's horrible. I can't, it's just, I don't feel good when I eat all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just better eating a little bit of lunch and then eat dinner, and our dinners are healthy. Except we have potato chips tonight, so.
There is nothing wrong with that. That's what makes this so darn
Add more fiber.
I did
so
too.
darn easy.
I did too.
Absolutely. You know, that's the wonderful thing about the protocol, is I literally, and Cheryl knows, I mean, I like you say, yo-yo dieter. I mean, I invented the game called Diet Whack-A-Mole.
Mm-hmm.
I was in programs where I literally weighed everything on a gram scale.
Mm-hmm.
I had, remember this, like, I mean, it was like I was a chemist. And I understand at that time I had 2 kitchens. I had a gas kitchen and an electric kitchen on purpose so I could do different kinds of cooking on the different stoves and things. I had 2 refrigerators, 2 freezers, right? I mean, I had doubles of cookware and toys and tools, and you know, if I don't know, I had everything, every little nuance, bam, 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 boom, boom, geek, 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 did it all. And so I am a very good cook. But when it came to that, because my numbers had come back and they wanted to put me on all these meds and all blah, 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 a bunch of stuff like that, I go, no, I found this program. And it was a couple $100 a month, and you had, without the food, but you had, I had a nutritionist, I had all that stuff, but I'm weighing everything. It just wasn't sustainable. And, you know, to show up at a party with my own little cup. Oh, good. You guys, you're having ribs? Oh, good. I'm going to have this, whatever this was. While I looked at everybody enjoying. Well, let's face it. This is the beginning of candy season. And that goes until March. Because we get these guys, and then we get Thanksgiving, and then we get Christmas, then we get New Year's, which is lie to yourself for a week, and then it's Super Bowl, and then it's St. Pat's, which is an excuse in the middle of Lent to have a beer and pretzels. And then it's Easter, which there's nothing says anything like celebrating like a chocolate bunny and
jelly beans.
Jelly beans.
Oh, yeah. God. If I have a jelly bean in the house, I'll eat the whole package. I love them so much. It's just not like I can walk by the candy jar and have 1 or 2. And I just
handfuls
keep until it's done. And then I feel like crap.
Did you guys ever in your prior to the protocol? I know I did this for a period of time where I was counting calories.
Oh yeah, I mean, all my life I've counted calories because I was heavier at one time and I wanted to lose weight and wanted to keep my weight down. So yeah, that's what I basically did.
Calories,
yeah, just calories.
I've had meals sent to me in the mail. I've had meals delivered to me, pre-measured, pre-this, through that, you know, to the ones where you go to the store and you buy this kind of cuisine or meal or whatever, the lean this or that. And so you stay in these yellow, white, red boxes, whatever the flavor of the day is that you're following. And then it's still microwave it and have a nice day on preservatives. And then, you know, sometimes it looks like the cardboard is to be more nourishing and flavorful than the food itself. So yes, all of those kinds of things. Have done those. Unsustainable, expensive. They everything works for a while. Everything works for a while, but then hungry steps in. And it's this little bird on the side goes, just a little nibble, nibble, nibble. Come on, just a nibble, just a little nibble. Come on, just a nibble, nibble, nibble. And that's when the bag gets open, and I'll just have a nibble. Oh, that was pretty good. My right hand's over here. My left hand's moving to get something. Oh, whoa, what's this? Oh, must come on the floor. Oh, there's only 4 left. Well, you can't put that away. You know? You get
all that noise.
Yeah, it's late at night, and there's a little thing of ice cream. No matter how little that little ice cream is, no matter how little it is, you get the little spoon. You get the little Daisy Duke spoon, the little one, the little nibby nibby. And so you're just gonna have a little nibby nibby, a little nibby, and pretty soon you're like, I wonder if there's any more. I wonder if the store's still open. Yeah. So yeah.
That's why I don't even keep it in the house anymore. It's too tempting,
She's good at that way. So, but anyway, well, guys, we've had a great hour. I've answered a question to Chad. He sent a message. He wanted to know what countries has the highest per capita of Alzheimer's, and that's Japan. Mm. And the reason is well, why? Why would they? What? Because they never had a baby boom. Demographics after the war, they did not have a baby boom. Hmm. Germany didn't have a baby boom. You look at Russia, America, the US, we won, we had prosperity, we had sex, we were happy, we had a baby boom. Okay, so the population has grown. And then we've had what? Migration and immigration. And those also do what? Have babies. They're, but you want to go comparative wise, they're not collegiate graduates, maybe high school. So the population gets larger in those groups. For whatever reasons you want to put in there. So we had a baby boom spike. You look at it, America demographically, we had a baby boom spike. Now the baby boomers, after the baby boomers, we had less people, less birds. Okay. And so we're dying off and we're dying off because we're older and she's not a baby boomer. Anyway. And so as we go, there's a little bit less, but there's another big wave of births behind us. There's another
COVID.
Yeah. COVID was another, what else you gonna do? So, so we have a baby boom and we have a migration, another large influx of peoples. Guess what? That's why in America, that's one of the reasons why where we have a huge number of people, for example, with metabolic diseases, including Alzheimer's, there's a whole nother group back here. And that want to just make people feel a little bit better. That's one of the reasons why Social Security has always been a pay-as-you-go system. My parents did not put enough money in. They weren't taxed enough for the longevity that we have. That's one of the reasons. And today, Social Security, while there's a trust fund, the fact of the matter is it's still a pay-as-we-go system. There's just less payers than there were before. Because while the baby boomers were working, before we were collecting, we were putting money in, and our elders were being able to take money out. Now we're taking money out at a much higher pace than they were. And there's a lull behind us population-wise to put money in. But there's another whole group of wave that'll be putting money in again to help buoy it up for like our kids. So that's just another sidebar. But that's to address the question that Ted had about population and where's the highest frequency in a demographic group. Japan is a classic example, Germany and some of those other countries. where they did not have a baby boom after the war. That's the fact of the matter. And that's why some of those economies are struggling. Where China's economy is booming, India is booming. They are booming because they are more people, rabbits. There's young youth behind it, and that drives that whole thing. So that changes the demographics. So anyway, Jennifer, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Any closing words, one of you?
No, it's always nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
All right, then I'll shut her down. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. I'm anxious to see any chats or comments that you have. Thank you very much. You did a beautiful job decorating the set. The whole house. I mean, front to top and bottom. It's not just this here. So she did great. Jennifer, I'll see you in the morning. I'm proud of you. You're doing great. So I'm proud of you. Never forget that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll see you guys next time.
Okay,
right.
bye. Check my dessert.
Okay. Yay, good job. Good job, everybody. Takes a while to turn everything off, but and then what?
I just moved this.
What was that doing?
I moved this.